So now I'm going to teach you how to make Swiss Meringue Buttercream. We shortly call it as SMBC. So I have egg whites and the sugar, and the butter is here. It needs to be quite firm, and you need to measure them and then cut them into cubes and then keep them in the refrigerator until you are ready to get on to the process, and that's vanilla for the flavoring. So the step starts with double boiling the egg white and the sugar. So I have a saucepan with water about an inch. I am going to let the water boil up, and then I am going to have a bowl on top. A stainless steel bowl catches up the heat much faster than the glass bowl, but I have the glass bowl so you could just see through what is happening inside the bowl easily. I'm also just going to have a wire whisk here handy. Adding in the egg whites and then the sugar. So just want to keep mixing it up. So you want to constantly keep mixing this, otherwise the whites are just going to scramble with the heat. Also, how long we are going to do that is until the sugar is completely dissolved with the heat of the egg white, and then I'm just going to do a touch and feel test. So I'm just going to touch it after I know that it started heating up and the sugar is all dissolved, and I'm just going to press it down here. Okay, put my finger in, dip it, and then put it immediately on my wrist here, and then I just need to feel the heat, and at that time I know that the egg white and the sugar is just in the right state for me to beat. So I'm going to touch to check it is not even warm yet for this finger. So I'm just going to let it cook some more time, take the heat. So in this heat the sugar will dissolve fully with the egg whites, and so we will not be having the grains of sugar in the meringue buttercreams. So I'm just going to do the test again. I just want it to be a bit more warm. So I'm just going to touch it within the bowl and then use that to touch on my wrist. If I can just feel the warmth there, then that means it is just done right. So I'm just going to switch off, remove this off the heat, take it off. I'm just going to mix it up. So with the heat that was just there, you don't want the whites to get scrambled again. Okay. So I'm just having my KitchenAid in here, and I'm going to empty the contents into the bowl of the KitchenAid. Then I'm just going to beat this egg whites and sugar that's been combined and heated up on medium high speed until it just froths up, and that's called as meringue again because you have sugar and the whites there. So the time that we know that it is ready for the butter to go in is the bottom of the bowl. If it is not a glass bowl, you know that the bottom of the bowl, if it is stainless steel bowl, will just come down to complete room temperature. or otherwise it is just going to be hot. Now if you are using a glass bowl like how I am using, then you have to check the inside temperature of the meringue. It should be in complete room temperature, after which the meringue is ready to add the butter, and the butter has to be cold and firm. So I am just going to start beating this on medium high speed until we have the meringue ready. It's not done yet. You can see it is just in a flowy consistency, but I just want to show a stage in between where you can see the meringue is just on the way. Just the white and the sugar, after being heated up, we just add it into the bowl. It is getting thicker, not yet there, but I just wanted to check on to show how it looks. Now at this stage I am just going to add the vanilla in, and I am again going to continue beating this until I have the meringue formed, which is like stiff peaks, but then I just want it shiny and I don't want it to be over beaten as well. So the meringue has been going on for quite some time now. You can see the peaks are quite good now. So it's not extremely stiff, but then you can see the peaks are just holding up quite fine, and then you can also see it is shiny and glossy, and that is what we need. Okay, so this is the texture that we are looking at. So the meringue is done now, and after the stage I am just going to start adding the butter. Now for the butter, if you are using a stand mixer like how I am using, you need to shift it to the paddle attachment when you are going to add the butter. And if you are using a handheld beater, then you can just use the same beater and you don't have to change the beaters. It is not about the meringue touching the butter or stuff like that. It is about how much air we are just trying to incorporate after the addition of butter. Okay, so shifted it, and then I'm just going to keep this running, and I'm going to add 1 cube of butter at a time, and I'm going to wait until that 1 cube goes around in the beater and then gets incorporated, and then I'm going to add the next one. Once I have all the butter incorporated, and then I have to continue beating on high speed until I have the buttercream in its consistency, which is like a smooth and creamy one. So in the process of adding the butter, depending on how warm the inside of the meringue is and then how cold the butter cubes are, there could be chances that your buttercream could go into a curdled texture, but then there is nothing to worry. The only thing that will go bad is to look at the curdled texture and then panic and then not continue beating, thinking that something wrong has happened. Now if you see there is the curdled texture, continue on high speed and keep beating until you have the right consistency. In case in the process if you have lost your buttercream, there are a good amount of materials that are there below the lesson. You could read up, and then I will also guide you to help you out if in case you have a broken buttercream. But then we hope that with this process you're just going to have a smooth and creamy buttercream. So I'm just going to get this running, and I'm going to add 1 cube at a time. So it's just right after adding all of the butter, but that's what it is going to look like. It is not going to look very creamy, and that's the thing I was just talking about. So now after this, what is going to make it a really smooth buttercream is continuing to beat on high speed, and then there is just that one moment when this curdle texture is just going to go away, and then the buttercream is just going to become smooth. You can just observe the visually curdled look at the stage, and that is meant to happen, and from here is when your buttercream is going to turn creamy and smooth, and for which we just need to go on and then beat on medium high speed, or even the highest speed possible. So it's just less than 2 minutes on high speed. We just about want to show you how it looks like now. You can see I have not even mixed, but then you can see the curdle texture is all completely gone, and then you have a beautiful smooth buttercream ready here. But I'm just going to scrape it down and then run the beater one more time, so if there's any butter left out getting mixed up, we just add them together now. So the buttercream is done. Now if you have to use the buttercream for a plain buttercream cake, then this is quite done, and then you make the buttercream right before you are ready to frost a cake. You really don't have to like make the buttercream and then store it as part of your prep. Making your cake and then keeping them ahead of time is the process that you need to follow. But obviously if you have to use your cream, that needs to be made just before you are ready to frost the cake. I just want to show, so I'm just not going to store this up, and in case you just need the stand mixer for anything else, then you just transfer it into another bowl, and then we'll be ready to use this on the cake and then frost it. So it's just about the texture of the buttercream. Okay, it is smooth and silky, and we have the sugar nicely incorporated into it without having the grains, and that's the beauty of making meringue buttercream. And what we've made is the easy Swiss meringue buttercream. I'll catch you up in another lesson where I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this one.